Welcome to Network Virtualization and SDN Europe here in Berlin. It's a real pleasure for myself, Chris Silberberg, the conference producer for the event, to have Regis and Anand from Tata Communications joining us here. And one of the key questions we've been asking across the event is, what are some of those key drivers and reasons to adopt NFV and SDN in 2019? So, Regis, do you want to take the first question?
Sure. Thanks very much, Chris, and happy to be here. So, I think I see mainly three drivers today with customers adopting SDN and NFV, specifically in the region. The first one would be flexibility and be able actually to improve the time to market for services. The second one would be improving the cost benefit to them by having a more horizontal platform. And the third one, I guess, would be in line with those ones actually to go to a more open source approach and the like, right?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, that's something we've actually seen in the keynotes this morning with DT's focus on kind of containerization, moving to the cloud. Telefonica were very much up on their faster time to market and some of their SD-WAN solutions. Okay, Anand, in terms of some of the key challenges affecting those adoption drivers, what do you see the service providers are really struggling with at the moment?
In fact, if I can take a minute about how we started our journey, and which is very relevant for operators' challenges being faced today. We as Tata started our journey a couple of decades back, and we developed something over a period of time called as transformation framework, which is learning from various kind of acquisitions we did overseas, and then we got into a global operation. That's where our company, Tata Communication Transformation Services, was formed. So that's our DNA, and that's where we learned how the transformation really should be executed. And looking at the challenges today, that's very relevant that operators are going through mergers, acquisitions. They have similar kind of challenges, problems. And the framework which we adopted and which we have developed for the industry is a kind of definite solution and an approach for service providers to take, and we are there to join them as a partner in the journey as well.
And Regis, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Specifically to customers, what we've seen is that the adoption of SDN and NFV was first actually on the B2B side. Yeah. Right? It really brought a lot of flexibility, new services for customers in an easier way. Now, obviously, the telcos have also adopted it to adopt a more horizontal type of platform for SDN and NFV with infrastructure as a service. Mm-hmm. But that actually brings challenges to them because now they have to onboard new VNFs, virtual functions, on standardized infrastructure. Mm-hmm. But they didn't have to do that before. It was actually done by the suppliers. Mm-hmm. So this is a whole new activity that they need to perform. And for that, actually, they've been trying to identify new service providers who can help them in that, helping them to coordinate the efforts that need to be brought to actually have VNF talking to an OpenStack and on a server in a complete new environment. So I think this is really a challenge for them at the moment. It's actually making the progress a little bit slower than expected in the beginning for things like virtual packet core and the likes. And I think actually with the experience we bring, specifically also in the B2B domain, we are very placed for that, and really the challenge they will face is that at some point, some functions will only come virtual, like in 5G. So they'll have to be ready by that.
So if you look at the acquisitions and mergers, which telcos are doing almost everywhere, they have got a stack of various OEMs, different kind of domains, and which may or may not be integrated seamlessly. So that has created a complexity in the network. If you look at the kind of open source and SDN and NFV based networks and product services which we are expecting, it may not really go as smooth as expected unless you solve the legacy issues. So you need to work on creating a homogeneous network which is integrated and which is going to support the future looking products and services. I think that's one of the challenges, and that needs to be handled and dealt with utmost care and priority right now.
Fantastic. I mean, that comes back to one of the ETSI keynotes this morning where one of the questions raised from Vodafone actually was, we've gone through this process, this virtualization process, but now as an operator we're almost playing system integrator as well, and that's a whole different ball game for us. With that said, what would be your kind of call to action for the industry for the next 12 months? Is it more open source, more collaboration? How do you kind of see this panning out in the next year?
As I said, I think so the operators have actually tried the natural way to initially go through OEMs to perform some of the integration. That is potentially part of a challenge because you have various types of OEMs and various types of VNFs. So I think the collaboration is definitely key. We've done our work on that. Basically, we've onboarded some platforms already, some VNFs on the platform to learn for quite some time. So we're ready to do that. And I think slowly we see the telcos taking, I would say, the risk to go with different partners. And I think that would definitely be the right thing to do to enrich the ecosystem globally and to make sure that there is somebody able to coordinate all those complexities which is brought in. Sorry.
Yeah, as Regis rightly said, it's about collaboration. So we have standards bodies which are here. We have various kind of OEMs which are also present in the event today. We have customers, which is service providers for them, and at the same time, innovators. So I think ecosystem point of view, we have all the ingredients here. It's in everybody's interest to kind of collaborate, work transparently, work together, and develop their part of the service offering or their part of, I would say, specs or whichever contribution they are making to the ecosystem, and create it as one single kind of end-to-end service provider offering from end customer's perspective. If everybody works together, I'm sure we'll move with a much faster speed.
Fantastic. So a great kind of ending note there, that what we've actually heard in the keynotes as well, and we'll, I'm sure, hear across the rest of the event, is more collaboration, more innovation, and from what you just said there, Regis, as well, taking a few more risks to really drive this forward and get it right. Now, Anand, you mentioned that we need to get this ready for 5G. Well, in that case, the clock is definitely ticking with all the 5G launches this year. Thank you very much for coming, these guys. It's great to have Tata Communications at the event, and all the best for the next year.
Thanks.